Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, the Nui channel. Today's video is going to be a review of the Netflix series Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. I wanted to do a review and reaction content for a while now, and originally it was going to be on Shameless. Since I was watching for the first time and there was 11 seasons to cover, I thought it might be fun. But little did I know the show was going to completely take over every spare minute. And before I could even finish the script for the first 3 seasons, I was done binging the entire series. As a palate cleanser, I watched the movie K-pop Demon Hunters, and honestly, I love it. I get the hype now. I waited 3 months until after the movie came out to check it out, and it gives me such strong Totally Spies vibes that as a millennial, it's pure nostalgia. I'm not someone that voluntarily listens to music. I have the honest song Go Beyond in my favorites playlist. Let's go beyond. But the songs here are outstanding. Anyways, on to today's discussion, Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. I have to admit that the first K-drama I watched, which might be about 10 years ago now, is still the best. And no, I did not stutter. My Love from the Stars was, is, and forever will be the most iconic show, not just K-drama, but series for me. I love the romance, the styling, the plot. It wasn't just a romance, there was a B plot about murder, a C plot about getting Dominjon home before he dies, a D plot about her career as an actress, and the music. Once the first notes of the piano start with "You Are My Destiny," you are my destiny, I could just scream at how perfect it is. Once that song starts, you just know something very romantic and sometimes tragic is about to happen. I've watched a few series like that. After that, like The Heirs, Healer, Goblin, um, Cinderella and the Four Knights, True Beauty, Boys Over Flowers, and some other series I don't remember the names of, but for whatever reason, nothing hits as hard as My Love from the Stars. A close second, though, would be Queen of Tears, coincidentally also starring Kim Soo-hyun. So I thought I had a type until I watched It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Now here's where I might lose some of you. I'm not a die-hard K-watcher. If something is good, I'll watch it, sometimes even if it's not good. If it has one redeemable quality in my eyes, I will bite my tongue and hate watch the elements I don't like. Some of the things that throw me off is when they cast a pretty lead actress to just be pretty and master crying while being pretty, or like just stare doe-eyed while everyone else makes speeches around her. The one that comes to mind for me is The Heir right now. The Heirs. Why do they keep pulling her around like a rag doll in so many scenes? I know times have changed, not to mention it's a different culture, but does anyone else think it was so unprofessional and kind of creepy during the kiss when the director told the male lead, not the female lead, that it was going to happen? Okay, so let's get back on track, and this is exactly why I never finished the Shameless review. We're here to talk about Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. This is the first K-drama I've seen in a while, so bear with me. It starts in the Joseon period, and I'm not sure, is it pronounced Joseon or Josan? The lead actress is rope-bound and dragged into the throne room to kneel before the king. His advisors, or whoever, all men by the way, surround him. So he removes his sword, and the expectation is that he's going to strike her, but instead he makes a bargain. He wants her to be the head chef, the head chef, and make him a new dish every day. If she fails or he doesn't like the dish, he will kill her. Okay, that's the plot. But then she breaks the fourth wall and turns towards the camera and pulls her. You're probably wondering how I got here, aren't you? So immediately you know it's going to be a modern tale, probably a comedy. Apparently, she's from 2025. Did I just say 2020? Okay, let's just pretend that didn't happen. And her dream was to be a three-star Michelin chef. We cut to a French cooking competition and she's in the finals, but her stove is not working. Usually, using some quick thinking, she makes a fire in the studio and completes her dish. At this point, she just seems too perfect. Speaking flawless French, staying calm in a stressful situation, and being smart and creative enough to make the best out of the situation. The judges like her dish, but I thought at this point that they were going to throw in a twist. I wouldn't even say surprise twist, because at this point we've seen this kind of thing play out so many times before in different genres, where someone shows all the attributes the judges look for, but they're snubbed in order to progress the plot. The real surprise was that they played it straight and she wins the competition. So my mind is still trying to think of the next step, like maybe this was all a dream. She's going to wake up any moment. I think I'm too familiar at this point with over-formulaic plot lines, but again, that's not it. The next morning, she's on the phone with her father, letting him know she won the competition and that she's flying back from Paris today. He warns her to be careful because there's going to be a solar eclipse today and asks her to bring back this book on Joseon history. You're just going to have to bear with me because I'm not sure how that word is pronounced. Joseon, Joseon, Joseon. She's already on the plane when the eclipse starts, and the man she's sitting next to leans over to see out her window seat and spills his coffee. She realizes it's spilled onto the ancient Joseon book her father wanted her to bring, so she goes into the bathroom on the plane to clean it up. And while she's cleaning the book, she realizes it's a recipe book. So she reads the dedication at the exact moment the moon completely covers the sun. And this random event with the magical book, the words, the eclipse, that's the reason she's transported back into the Joseon era. I think it's good so far. I like it. Basically, everything so far was just build up to get us to this point, and now we can start the actual plot. So when she lands in the past, she literally falls onto the ground as though from a height. And when she falls, it's right into one of those nets that Team Rocket would use that leaves her hanging in midair. Coincidentally, the king is also in his hunting. So he's in the area hunting, even though everyone tells him it's inauspicious to hunt on the day of the solar eclipse. He gets separated from his hunting party when he chases a fox and comes upon the main character. So I should mention at this point her name, which is Yeonji-young. But the way the episode didn't even give me a chance to learn anyone's names is crazy. So basically, he thinks she's a Guinyo, which is a female ghost. And she thinks he's in the woods cosplaying, and they both think the other is crazy. She has some stuff from 2025 on her, like her phone, even though there's no signal, obviously. But the phone is in her handbag, which gets thrown over the cliff when the king shoots his arrow at her and misses. Then there's an actual assassin that fires an arrow at the king, who grabs onto Yeonji-young, and they both fall off the cliff and into the water. The next few moments were my first genuine laugh out loud moments in the entire episode. First, when Yeonji-young decides she's going to rub some ointment on the king's arrow wound, and it turns out to be Vaseline. And then when she grabs his dagger and starts showing off her knife skills to intimidate him, but it's basically chopping invisible vegetables in midair. So the two go to a seemingly abandoned house, and Yeonji-young ties the king outside. She meets another woman inside the house, and because she's also dressed weirdly, she thinks they both must be part of a movie or something, and she's on a set. Anyways, they prepare a meal, and even though Yeonji-young finds it mild, the king and the other woman, whose name I don't even know yet, find it very spicy. This is because she had some gochujang paste in her pocket when she traveled back in time, but they still enjoy it though. So the episode ends when the king's hunting party finds him alone. The two ladies had left to wash up at that time. So first, let's talk about the actors and the acting. when I first saw Yeonjeong, I thought maybe it was Park Min Young. No, the actress is actually Im Yuna, and that's the same actress from the K2, and she's actually 35 in real life. Honestly, it took me a little while to get used to her in this drama. She's yelling a lot, and the performance feels weird. But then, of course, she's very confused by everything. So hopefully, this will be fixed in the rest of the series. The king is played by Lee Chae-min. I haven't seen any of the dramas he's been in previously. So he's 25 in real life, meaning he was born in the year 2000. And honestly, I can't believe these 2000 kids are not even kids anymore. As for his acting, I didn't really care for it. I mean, he's very handsome, but his smile is a smirk and it's very modern looking. I'm not sure how to fully explain it, but he's too fresh faced and modern. So, this is only the first episode though, and even though I'm full of complaints, it looks like the show may have potential. I like that they go into detail when preparing meals. I also like that the female lead is a talented chef. This episode was called Gochujang Butter Bibimbap. Bibimbap. I love that word, gochujang and bibimbap. It's such a nice sound and it's fun to say. So the second episode starts with Yeonjiang and Gilgum, and I finally learned her name in the river. And so the two ladies are washing up when they see a group of people walking past. Yeonjiang tries to gesture to them, but Gilgum quickly quiets her and explains that this is the Cheong. And the Cheong is basically when they gather the women of the village for the king. They mentioned it briefly in the first episode, but I didn't think it was going to be an important plot point. And I'm kind of surprised because it's one thing to make the king initially unlikable, but quite another to be kidnapping women, and it seems like taking advantage of them, and that's not very rom-com if you ask me. They get taken to the Chehong anyway, and the women are sorted into two groups because they say they're in their 20s. They are kind of like seen as too old, and they are part of the group that doesn't get chosen for the king. But that doesn't mean they are free. They now have to prepare a 9-course meal for these special royal adjacent guests, and if their meal is satisfactory, then they'll be freed. So of course Yeonjeong takes on the role as the head chef. It's kind of nostalgic and reminds me of an anime, and I don't remember the name of it. It's just the way that she gives random facts about cooking, the best way to prepare the dishes, and she's very sincere. It's like she really cares about who is going to eat it, what's their age, what's their job. One of the animes I'm thinking of is One Piece when Tanjiro made the curry, but there's another anime as well. Maybe it's a romance, and I just can't remember the name right now. Yeonjiang finally starts to believe she's traveled back in time, so that's good. I honestly hate when there's a plot point mentioned in the premise, but then the characters don't realize it until halfway through the series. At least now we can move on past the time traveling and get to the juicy parts. So the second episode is called Sous Vide Cuisine. Sous Vide Cuisine, or however that's pronounced. That is because she wants to make steak for the guests, but the meat is too tough, so she used this sous vide method of boiling water and cold water to tenderize the meat. And it turns out the special guests are the Cheong inspectors, and that's a father and son duo. So finally, I'm kind of piecing together the scenes. So basically, there's a really old guy named General Hong and his son, and they are kind of in charge of this village. The son has a daughter that is a little young but kind of the right age for the Chehong, but they anticipated the inspectors would want her for the king, so they snuck her out of the village with some servants. But then when the Chehong inspectors get served the steak that Yeonjiang prepared, they act like it's an insult. The meat slices are too thin. The Hong's son says he'll call for the cooks and punish them. So all the women get brought in front of them, and Yonjiang, who clearly never holds her tongue, tells them to try the dish before passing judgment. You could see from the beginning that the inspectors were up to something and didn't like the Hong father and son from the beginning. But they used this opportunity to bring out Mi Hyung, who they captured. So they knew all along that the Hongs tried to help their daughter/granddaughter avoid the Chehong. So now they make a new deal that if the steak captures the essence of nature, which is what Yeonjeong says, they will forget about everything the Hongs did and leave Mi Hyung alone. If the meal is not satisfactory, Yeonjeong must die. So when they finally try the meat, it's like a scene out of Food Wars or how shows try to portray someone taking drugs. It's like cute CGI background and everything. I just remembered that even when the king tried the food in the first episode, the bibimbap, his eyes kind of glazed over. I think everyone having a reaction to her cooking is super cute. The Chehong inspectors try to lie and say it's just like boiled meat, so Yeonjeong is about to die. But then a dramatic entrance by the king. Somewhere around here is when Yeonjeong realizes that the man from episode 1 that she thought was crazy every time he told her he was the king really is the king. Oh, and finally I learned his name as well, which is Yon Hagen. Yon Hagen. Yon Hagen tries the steak himself, and it's quite dramatic. The hairs on the back of his hand stand up. There's fireworks in the background. It's very funny. So the king tells them he's going to take Yeonjeong to the palace in the morning, and also Mi Hyung. Yeonjeong realizes this must be the inciting incident that caused the literati purge. When Yon Hagen and General Hong are alone, the old man tells the king that his father would be embarrassed because he spent his time taking all these women and being controlled by his court. It becomes clear that Yon Hagen is taking Mi Hyung as a punishment for the grandfather because apparently he's one of the people responsible for his mother's exile or death. I'm not really sure at this time. Anyways, he sentences the old man to live out his life far away. At this point, I was starting to realize the plot may be bigger than I initially thought, and it looks like some research is in order. It turns out that the character of Yon Hagen is loosely based on the 10th monarch of the Joseon dynasty, Yeonsangun. This is straight out of his Wikipedia page. Often considered the worst tyrant of Joseon history and perhaps Korean history, he's notorious for launching 2 bloody purges, seizing hundreds of women from all over the peninsula to serve as palace entertainers, and appropriating Sangyunkwan as a personal pleasure ground. Yeonsangun's despotic rule provided a stark contrast to the liberal era of his father. As a much despised overthrown monarch, he did not receive a temple name. So that's kind of interesting that this rom-com has the hero based on this guy. Anyways, Yon Hagen takes Gil Gim and Yeonjeong back to the palace as his prisoners. The moment their party arrives, consort Kang Mokju rushes to greet him. He introduces her to Yeonjeong, who immediately recognizes her name as a historical figure that was very hated, and she has this reputation of manipulating King Yon Hagen in her name. So that's how the episode ends, and my nose may not be as good as Gil Gim's, but I smell a love triangle, and I'm quite impressed so far. And obviously it's not my love from the stars, and no show can really compare to that, but it is a lot more interesting than I thought. It's not straightforward, and I spent the episode thinking Hong was a good guy, but the king really hates him, and holds a grudge about what he did to his mother. So I'm kind of excited. Not many shows are this ambitious. Usually the hero is just misunderstood or whatever. But no, Jon Hagen is legit a bad guy at this point. And normally it takes me 3 episodes to decide whether I want to continue a show. But here we are, 2 episodes in, and I'm invested. So I'll leave it here for now. Let me know if you watched the show already or are planning to. And also let me know if you watched My Love from the Stars and what you think of this video. And guys, I'm just starting my YouTube channel and still have a lot to learn about video editing. So right now, this is the best I can do. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you want me to make a part 2. Bye.